Hi everyone, my name is Maureen Fitzpatrick, a Human Resources Business Partner from Lowell General Hospital. I'm here today joined by a number of area employers to talk about the upcoming job fair, which will be held on Thursday, April 27th from 3 to 5 p.m. in the Lowell High cafeteria. The job fair is open to all students. What we're going to be sharing with you today is really a discussion regarding the job search process itself, and then also some tools and strategies that you as students can use for your job search process as well as after you've been hired with a particular employer. The first step in the job interview process or job search process is really the application process. So that is actually your first opportunity as a student, as a potential applicant to shine. So you really do want to make sure that that you maximize that portion of the process. So really, the application itself is, it comes in two forms. So an employer can either accept an electronic copy of an application or a hard copy. If you have a resume, you can provide that as well. What I would say is that the application itself really is your opportunity to demonstrate that you are the strongest candidate for the position, that you are actually the most experienced, and that also that you have the greatest potential for that particular position. So the application itself is broken up into 4 different sections. The biographical or demographic information, there's the education section, employment history, and then references. When you start the application process, very important to read through the directions before you start the application, because an employer is actually looking for attention to detail. They're looking for accuracy. So that again is your first opportunity to shine as an applicant. The demographic information, be prepared to answer very basic questions in terms of your name, your address, your email address, your phone number. You do want to make sure, and this is very important, that your email address and your phone number is business appropriate, so that when that employer contacts you, that those are a professional reflection of you as an applicant. They will also ask for your social security number, if you're under the age of 18, to provide working papers, eligible to work in the United States, and then also questions regarding a criminal background check. The second section is really in terms of education. You'll want to detail the date that you graduated from high school, if you are a high school graduate, college as well. If you have any type of certificate and have graduated from a certificate program, that information would be detailed in that section as well. It is very important to make sure that those dates are accurate, because some employers, particularly larger employers, will do a background check, and so they will actually go to the institution that you graduated from to verify that those dates are correct. So make sure that that is accurate information. The next step would be actually employment history. So do be prepared to provide dates of employment, position, your supervisor, any job duties specifically that would really tie to the position that you're applying for. Again, you want to highlight that you're the best candidate for this position, and these are the reasons why I am the best candidate. So again, it's a reflection of your quality as a candidate. And then the last section is really references. So you do want to be prepared to provide 3 references, and those references can be professional, they can be a supervisor, they can be a coworker, they can be a coach, guidance counselor. You do want to stay away from using relatives as references, which wouldn't be appropriate for a job application. But again, anyone who can speak to your quality of character, your work ethic, your potential as an employee are all very important. So Carolyn is going to talk to us about the next step.
Hi, I'm Carrie Lynn O'Brien. I'm the operations manager of TJ Maxx in Wilmington. I do a lot of the hiring process through my job, and I'm going to go over potential interview questions that I generally ask. The first one is generally, can you tell me about yourself? You want to highlight why you're coming to a potential employer. You like their product, you like what they sell, you like what that direction they're going to go in depending on where you're going to be applying. And what are your goals for that job? We want to know if there's any growth in between there. There's a lot of people that start from 16, 17-year-olds that have been at my company for 30 years going through the ranks because that's what they decide to do. But retail's not always retail. We do have home office experience and business experience going through there as well. And why should we hire you? What makes you the best candidate? What makes you stand out? What can you tell me about yourself that would make me want to hire you? And then describe what a teacher would say about you. If you have an experience with a teacher, what would they say about you? What kind of character could they talk to? Tell me about a time that you had a problem and how did you solve it? We want to know if you can multitask. We want to know if you are a people person, if you're able to work on your own. Do you have the insight to be able to make those kind of decisions? And what are your strengths? There's different strengths for different people. You may hone in on a particular strength that would help capitalize on whatever it is that you're applying for. And are you a team player? Being able to work with other people, it really bodes well when you're in a type of setting where you have to work with other people. There's all sorts of characters, different personalities, and how well would you be able to interact with those people, and how well would you be able to solve any issue that came about. We all want to do it in a professional way. It is a workplace. You do have to get along with people, and there is professional courtesy. When you're 16 or whether you're 60, it doesn't matter. Everybody has to have that professional courtesy. Things to remember when you go through the interview process. You want to come in, you want to shake hands, you want to introduce yourself, you want to be on time. I know that in my job, it's very important when you show up on time because someone may be leaving when you're coming in. Customers do not wait. Neither do any other job. You have a job to do, you're being paid for that particular time. Smile. You want to make eye contact and you want to be enthusiastic. You want to be excited that you had the opportunity to speak to someone inside that store because you're seeking to make that store better. You want to have a positive attitude. You want to be friendly. You want to be polite, and you also want to be patient. It's okay to ask questions. You just want to make sure that you're asking the right questions at the right times. You want to make sure that you're invited to sit down when you're asked to do so. I know that there's a lot going on inside offices, especially being in a retail setting. There's people coming in, going out. It is very distracting. It's remain focused on the person in front of you rather than what's going on around you. And let them know what you like about the business. Let them know what you know about the business. It's very good to become prepared if you're going to a job. What type of job is it? What are they going to be asking of you? So you can come up with questions that would be pertinent to what job you're applying for. And you want to be yourself. You want to be that charismatic self as to, this is the reason why I want to hire you. And watch your manners. You want to make sure that you're turning your cell phones off. We shouldn't have any interruptions while we're doing the interview process. We shouldn't have to wait for somebody that you have with you. You're coming in for the interview. I know that I've had in past experiences that parents decide that they need to be in the interview. You're coming for the job. Yes, you may be a minor, but we're employing yourself, not your parents. So you want to make sure that you come prepared for that as well, and let your parents know that you're going to take charge and come in for that interview, and you're going to be enthusiastic about it. Okay. The next potential questions that we have is from Karen.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Karen James, and I'm the coordinator of career planning and placement at Middlesex Community College. And I'm going to continue on with things to remember during the interview. I think one of the most important things to look at when you're going in for an interview is that they're already interested in you, so be confident. I think it's really important to be confident when you're in the interview. Know yourself, know why you're applying for that job, because now at this point they're just trying to look at your personality and will you fit into the organization. The other thing to do is when you walk in, shake hands, smile, and I'm going to keep going back to being confident, because when you're confident, you naturally smile, you stand up taller, you sit straighter. So be very careful of your body language when you go in, and practice the handshake, practice the smiling that we'd already talked about a little bit earlier. The other thing is make sure you're not chewing any gum, you don't have any candy in your mouth. Some of these things are very obvious, but sometimes we forget when we're going into an interview. You may be a little nervous, so just take some deep breaths and think about why you're there applying for that job. I'll just say again that leave your friends and family at home or in the car if you can. Leave your cell phone in the car or have somebody have it. Just don't bring it in because it might bring noise or distracting in the interview. The other thing I want to talk about is dressing for the interview. You always want to dress appropriately for the job. So typically you'll do some research. You'll see what they wear at that organization. You always want to dress a step up. So for men, nice shoes. Typically we say black or brown shoes, not sneakers. Solid colors, so solid socks, a solid shirt, solid tie or a suit jacket. No excessive jewelry for men or women. If you have any nose piercings or a lot of piercings, you might not wear them that day on the interview. What else? I think the most important thing is not to wear jeans or shorts or sweatpants. Appropriate shoes, closed-toed shoes, as we always say. If you're interviewing in the summer, it's really important to wear shoes that have a closed toe and not a sandal. Let's see what else. The other thing to talk about is not wearing very much jewelry, perfume, cologne. Your hair is appropriate as far as being clean and styled. And if you're wearing a dress for a woman, you want to make sure that the length is appropriate. And body posture. I think these are things that you can practice with a friend, with your guidance counselor at school, with another teacher, so that you are sitting up tall and you're showing that you're very enthusiastic for the job. And then the last thing I want to talk about is your voice. Sometimes in an interview when you are nervous, you can become monotone or you can be a little shaky. So the practicing really helps. And I always go back to the three things is when you start to feel a little nervous in an interview, and it's because sometimes it's hard because people are asking you questions. So just sit back, relax, think about why you want this job and what you're qualified for and what you can bring to that job, and you'll do well in your interview. So now I'm going to turn this over to
Hi, I'm Vichita Kong with Washington Savings Bank. I do business development and community relations for the company, and I just wanted to touch base on responsibilities. When you're applying for a position, you want to know exactly how many hours you can work, if it coordinates with your homework, your extracurricular activities, with sports, with specials that you do after school. You want to make sure that you have the correct time to put towards the job that you're applying for. Be willing to learn when you're going into a new position, or even part-time, full-time. You want to learn everything that it is that you want to do for this job, and the more you learn, the more comfortable you will be working at this position. Concentrate on your job. You want to focus and do the task at hand to the best of your ability. Try to always have a positive attitude that you are going to do this job extraordinarily. I work with a lot of young professionals and high school, college students at the bank, and yes, they are the front line and they see these customers every single day, and every single day they have a smile, they interact, they have eye contact. Prepare to be flexible, especially if you are a high school student or a college student. We know that you have classes and you have jobs, and obviously you have also a life on the weekends and weekdays, but be flexible with your hours and make sure you communicate that to the employer to let them know that these are the hours that you can work and which hours you can't work because of school or any other commitments. Maintaining confidentiality is extremely important as well, especially when you're working with the public, whether it be retail or in the financial institution or at a hospital or college. Maintaining confidentiality about your customers, about the work that you do, about yourself, that's very important. The next point I want to come to is professional communication. Extremely important, especially for young adults, because we are always on social media, on text messaging, we're always on our phones. And sometimes we forget that the way we communicate on our cell phones and our tablets and online is not the way that we really should be communicating in a professional atmosphere. You always use your full name, no nicknames. And if you have an email already and it's not as professional as you'd like it to be, you can always create a new professional one to use when you're applying for positions and applying for jobs. Make sure you respond to the recipient's name correctly. That's very important. It's a point that you are paying attention. No chatting, always write formally. Don't use web slang or jargon, which is really important, because sometimes we type out things that we're thinking as we're writing the message, and you just want to make sure those words that you're using is professional and that they're coming across professionally as to the position that you're applying for. Include a subject line in an email, very important, because when that ping comes on to the employer's email, they want to know what you're writing about. They want the subject line. It's important for them to know what the email is referencing. And include a signature. Put your full name, a thank you, have a great day. And also ask someone to look it over. Ask a friend, a family, a colleague to look it over and just make sure that you have everything that you want to say on the email and everything's grammatically correct. As well as leaving a message. So since you've sent the email out, and let's just say the employer tries to call you back and ask for an interview. So you call the employer back, and first of all, your voicemail should be professional. Again, if you are going out there and applying for jobs and you're applying for different positions, you want to make sure when they do call you that your voicemail is professional. And when you do call your employer, you want to state your full name. You want to assume that you always assume that there's no caller ID or your number, your name's not coming up. So you want to introduce yourself in full detail, your full name, the reason why you're calling, the position that you're applying for, and leave a contact info, a telephone number that you can always be reached. Everybody has a cell phone number, and if you don't, an email address that they can reach you. And also speak slow, clearly, and professionally. No slang words, no nicknames, you want to be as professional and clearly state your reason for calling or leaving the message. And the last point I want to touch on is smile on the phone. I know that's a little strange, but when you're speaking to somebody or you're leaving a voicemail, the person on the other line can definitely tell if you're happy or you're sad or you're excited. And we always have this trick at work, just smile on the phone, whether they can see you or not. It portrays a happy and excited monotone when you're speaking on the phone. And that's my last tip, so I'm going to pass it on to Tess to point out some other tips.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Tess Schatzer from Lowell National Historical Park. I want to talk a little bit about once you've gone through all these processes, now you've got the job, and how do you keep the job? And it's really about two large categories. It's about your attitude and it's about your behavior on the job. You want to always be showing initiative, and you can do that in a number of ways. I mean, by coming out for the interview, you've obviously shown initiative that you want the job. But now how do you show that every day? Well, you show that by being on time or even a few minutes early for work. You always come in ready to go and accept whatever assignments or challenges that are given to you. You ask for clarification. If you don't understand the instructions, you ask and find out if you can get a little bit more information so that you can do the job right. You want to work hard, complete that assignment, and stick within the time frame. If your boss gives you a time frame, make sure that you stay within that time frame. You want to keep your eyes and ears open so that you can watch and learn. You may not be directly involved with some project, but you can watch somebody else and pick up a lot from just keeping your eyes open, keeping your ears open, and listening. And one thing that I find is really important is being able to accept constructive criticism or feedback. None of us know how to do everything, and so it's really helpful to have someone watching you and giving you some guidance. And so it's in the spirit of self-improvement, and so hopefully you can learn to take that criticism or that feedback and work toward improving your performance. The other area would be sort of in the behavior. For example, if you get sick, which everybody does once in a while, you need to call ahead. You need to call in, let your boss know that you're sick, or if you know ahead of time that you have a medical appointment, you can make arrangements ahead of time. You want to make sure that you don't show a lot of anger. I've worked in customer service my whole life, and sometimes people can really make you angry, but you need to make sure that you keep smiling. You always show that positive side. You don't let your emotions get the best of you. If you get angry, sometimes you just take a time out. You walk away. You consult your supervisor and ask sort of, how do I deal with this? Because chances are your supervisor's been through it before and they can offer some good suggestions. You don't want to ever let your emotions get to the point where you were to act out in anger and hit something or heaven forbid, hit someone. Those are definitely bad behaviors to bring to any kind of workplace. And in a situation like that, hopefully before you'd gotten there, you would have talked to your supervisor and calmed down a little bit. Most important, you want to always say please, thank you, good manners, things like that. They go a long way in a workplace. So always want to make sure that you use those kinds of phrases. You mentioned text speak, please and thank you, as opposed to no problem. That's one big pet peeve I have with some of the folks that work with me. Just say you're welcome, not your no problem, because there's a lot of different implications there. The other thing to make sure that you do when you're on the job is make sure that everything is safe. Nobody wants to see anybody that works for them get into any physical trouble or get hurt. So if the job has safety rules, if it has policies in place for wearing eye protection or hair protection or clothing, make sure that you're always wearing all of that personal protective equipment. Most employers will supply it, but if they don't, make sure that you have the stuff that you need to do the job. You always want to keep your area neat and clean, and know what to do in an emergency. Most areas also will have labels and things like that, how to get out if there's a fire or any other situation. We have a book that actually describes everything from hurricanes to tornadoes to snowstorms. What do we do in those kinds of emergencies? And most importantly, report any concerns that you have about health or about safety in your work environment. Talk to your supervisor. It's all about communication with that person who's responsible for you every day. That's all I've got. I'm going to throw it back to Mo.
Okay, thank you, Tess. So we've heard from each employer really a lot of helpful hints, tools, strategies to use during the job search process. What we'd like to do is share one final thought from each of us is to take away as we wrap things up. And what I would actually start with is really the fact that it's so important to be prepared. So important to be prepared about the employer. So important to be prepared for the process. That interview process starts at the job fair. Employers are looking at you as you're going from table to table, applying for positions and talking with prospective employers. So just remember that the eyes are always on you at every step of the way, and you want to make sure that you represent yourself in the best light possible.
My tip, always be prepared. I agree. And especially if you're planning on attending the job fair in April, dress for it. Dress for the interview. Dress for meeting your employer. We've had many students actually sit down, fill out an application, and have an interview on spot. So dress for success. You know, whether if you're applying for a position at McDonald's or at the bank or at TJ Maxx or anywhere that you're applying for, you want to dress for that day like you're going for a real interview, because technically you really are. These employees are looking these employers are looking to hire right then and there. If you're the perfect candidate with all of your resumes and your references and you're dressing the part, you will get hired that day, and I've seen it happen, and it's amazing. So definitely have the confidence, put your nice shirt on, your clean shoes on, and come to the job fair prepared.
Always come prepared. We cannot stress that enough. I do know that a few times in my experiences is find out what you want to do and apply for the job that suits you. Don't apply for a job because your parents are asking you or you decide that you just need a job. Make sure that wherever you're going to be happy, because that's the only way you're going to be successful is when you're happy. And listen to what the interviewer is telling you. If you have to produce paperwork, there are certain guidelines that you have to deal with. Please make sure that you ask questions and you understand what it is that you're doing. I've lost many minors because they didn't follow the directions of going through the process of getting their work permits, and that's really not a good way to start out any job. So you want to be prepared, you want to listen, and you want to make sure that you're going to be happy where you are.
I would probably say communication in just about any aspect, whether you're applying for the job or once you get that job, communicating with your coworkers, your supervisor is critical. Making sure that you explain your reasoning for doing things if you're in a situation like that, or health concerns, safety concerns, absence, anything like that. Just keeping lines of communication open will be helpful as you move forward in your career.
Okay, I think I agree with all my colleagues here. The one thing I'd like to add is when they talked about being prepared, what goes along with that is practice it. Practice the big question, tell me about yourself. I think that really gets some students, not just students, but all of us when we're interviewing. That's the dreaded question, tell me about yourself. And sometimes we think we can just answer that. We know we can talk about ourselves, but that's when we tend to ramble. So you have 5 seconds really to kind of get in there, talk about it, so know what you're good at. I think a lot of my colleagues mentioned smiling. Smiling tends to relax you. So practice in front of a mirror, a friend, a coworker, another student, but just practice and good luck.
So again, I would like to thank each one of our employers. I think we've really had some valuable discussion and some tips that will help you as students really make the most of this opportunity, and that's what this is all about. So again, if you have any questions, another resource would be Beatrice Sierra with the Greater Lowell Workforce Development Board. And also, as a reminder, that the job fair again will be held on Thursday, April 27th at Lowell High from 3 to 5 p.m., open again to all students. So we look forward to seeing you. Thank you.